Everyone knows him, everyone loves him, and it's everyone's well-known counterpart mascot in the entirety of the Medarot franchise as a whole. It is KWG01A Rokusho, the Ronin-styled anime variant, with a brand new kit of Radar Sight A, Sword A, Hammer A, biped legs, and a new leg ability of Voltage, which, upon attacking a target, grants an all-stat boost, minus armor of course, of 5%, capping at 30% for every use of that particular skill. Now, much like the anime variant of Metsubi, who is introduced alongside the anime variant of Rokusho, Rokusho also entirely steps up his game as a very unique and very one in a million variant of the commercial Rokusho type that's been introduced in the game and been in the game since launch. Even tuned up, really can't touch what the Ronin style Rokusho brings to the table. And of course, sporting his ever iconic ratty cloak, in this case repurposed as a battle armor in this case, he's most certainly not just looking the look as the classic Ronin everyone knows him as, but also bringing that particular feel to the fight whenever he's on the field. Radar Sight A is a support skill that upon use basically is a new buff all unto itself exclusive to him. But upon using Radar Sight, it grants Fight Upper to self, which basically is fight boost. The next hit is guaranteed to be a critical hit, but also grants the effects of Radar Sight, which debuffs enemy conceal or stealth effects on the enemy side and allows himself to be able to bypass any of those effects that are in play. So that's 50% to his melee damage, a guaranteed crit on top of that, which is double damage, I believe, and also bypassing any stealth or conceal effects. Whoever he's planning to hit is going to be in immense amounts of pain by the time that turn ends. Right Arm of Sword A is a much stronger version of the conventional short sword skill, which packs passive defense ignore, much like Pile does, but also grants a 50%, and I'll repeat that again, a staggering 50% damage bonus when breaking apart and triggering pierce damage. That means that when he breaks something, it's going to be painful no matter which way you look at it. And pairing that off with Fight Upper on his head, he is going to be laying waste and cutting anyone in his way down to size, much like that traveling Ronin would anyone that dares oppose him and stand in his way. Hammer A is also another variant of the ever iconic Hammer skill, but it is also a full AoE attack, meaning it will spread the damage evenly across all parts that it hits, much akin to any other conventional hammer or even power hammer skill. Of course, that means that the less parts that are healthy on the target means that damage will be spread evenly among them. The only time, of course, this does not apply is if the enemy has stealth or conceal or shield that is in play, where it instead will soak all the damage to that one part. However, Rokusho's Hammer A fights just a little bit differently than that. Instead, what it does is that it ignores defense much like his sword does, but also packs a passive blow-away effect to it. So not only is he punching the enemy as hard as he possibly can, which is, well, expected of a hammer punch like his, but he's also pushing the enemy away from him, which gives him the ability to grant an effect of crowd control to a point, depending on how he chooses to use it. Biped legs means that he has very solid coverage across all terrains and arguably the best and most diverse when it comes to terrain coverage, and this version of Rokusho fixes a very serious issue that the commercial model, that actually holds a commercial model back from being potentially viable on the field, even including a tune-up bonus, and that is the fact it packs a very nice and very high base speed, as what basically set the precedent and the standard for all Stag Beetle types that came after him in his particular family. With a base mobility of 912, again setting that precedent as specializing in high speed and agility, and on the topic of agility, packing an evade of 1164, he's going to have a very good time dodging or grazing incoming blows and making sure he can keep that damage on himself down to a minimum. A melee resist of almost 1160 is good too, and as expected, can most certainly hold his own up close and personal very well, but a shoot resist of 672 is going to be a particular pain point for him. as it does mean that while he can most certainly bring the pain and the speed and the agility on top of that, anyone that does manage to sneak a pot shot in from afar will probably cut this Ronin down to size faster than what you'd really hope to or expect. In the armor department, he's not anything overly special either in comparison to the anime Metabe. In particular here, he's packing about 3,500 for the head, about 3,250 for the right arm, 3,100 for the left, and legs at 3,450 as well. So again, he's not squishy or lacking on the armor as expected, but he is somewhat lighter on it compared to anime Metabe or even some other conventional melee fighters like himself. So again, setting that precedent of trading some armor for higher speed and agility, but still maintaining the power. And on top of that, the voltage leg ability means that his already very dangerous melee kit between Sword A and Hammer A only gets meaner, faster, and more aggressive for every consecutive use that he uses of it. All this being said, though, as a pure set score, very easily I have to rate this version of Rokusho a very solid 9 out of 10. And there's a couple reasons I won't grade it as a 10 out of 10 and a must-have, which are some particular weaknesses that it does bring to the field, such as left arm of Hammer A having the blowaway effect, meaning it does require just a little bit of juggling if you are going to make use of it. But synergizing very well with the Radar Sight A, with Sword A or Hammer A, and voltage on top of that means he's going to be very, very aggressive, very fast, and very hard to touch while he's on the field. As mixed parts, I do have to rate him very easily at a 9.5 out of 10, and here is where you could very easily argue me into a 10 out of 10 and a must-have. Because even though his kit as a pure set is very well synergized with itself, mixing the parts up only makes him even more so of a threat on the field, whether that means, say, trading out the left arm hammer for something a little more conventional, such as, say, Break Hammer or Break Rush, or even Pile to a point too, if you want to keep Defense Ignore in there, can still benefit from Voltage and Radar Sight A, or even using just regular Sword A or Radar Sight A by itself can benefit any conventional melee fighter on the team just by having those skills at your disposal.